Someone seems to love that joke.
Oh,
Like my daughter loves it.
it's
Renovate it one day. Man. I'm a big low and slow smoking barbecue guy.
Yeah.
So I've got 6 barbecues out there.
You're a big.
Yeah, ranging from, I cooked last night. You've got to impact time, you've got to impact transparency, and then that will impact trust.
Hey there, constructing artists. Today on the Constructing Art podcast, we have a conversation. I get to have a conversation with Aaron Nah of Primal Agency. Now, Primal Agency, they do a great job. We've been working with them for ages. But what we talk about today is some cool things. One, we talk about building relationships on trust and how much better value comes from that. Secondly, is looking for and finding the value in a customer and looking where you can add more and you can, from a marketing perspective, help that customer by doing the right things, not the generic things. And thirdly, we talk about what makes a good leader and Aaron's experience in the past, what changed his life to be the leader that he is in his industry now. So we talk about that, as well as we talk a little bit about barbecuing, and we throw a few dad jokes in there as well. So stick with us till the end, and remember, like and subscribe. Let's get on with it.
I thought, who is this guy? He's doing things very different to how others in the construction industry are doing it. We were showing houses and, just pictures of kitchens and different things. And a big thing for me was that a brand is not just a logo. It's the people behind it, and there's a personality. And I think you shone through with this personality of, and it is your true personality of, you're really passionate about what you do and love what you do. And there's a lot of pride in what you do. And I was like, and it came through in your social and the way you talk to the audience. And I was like, hey, I like this dude. So I started following you. And, I think I told you that when I first met you, when we first started working together. I was sort of like, might have been watching you for a while, and it's a pleasure to be able to try and help support grow your business a bit. So mate, it was
that's what we've been doing.
Probably right? More years than you've known me. Not as a stalker. I'm not one of those guys, but yeah.
That's how it kind of works. I've dropped into LinkedIn and socials and all the rest from a point of if you go back. So what brought me into doing that was 10 years ago, I did this course called KPI, Key Person of Influence, and one of the big things in that, they had like 5 Ps, and one of them was publish, right? And so the whole idea in this course was that you had to publish a book, a 30,000 word book. And I wrote this book about roofing. And 10 years ago, I really didn't have a huge amount of experience where I could tell someone a story about me to make me the expert. So I'm like, well, I don't like that. So I'm just going to do video. I love doing video. So that's how I got into that. And didn't really have any training. YouTube wasn't where it was today. And just started out and took key. Like if someone said I was doing something well, then I did it. And I guess the combination of me doing that and you doing what you do, and this is what I want to be talking about in this podcast today with you, is the relationship that's been built from taking something from online and taking it offline and building true trust and value and a real relationship, opposed to just pitching at people.
That's it. And I think that was probably the thing that maybe subconsciously lit up in my brain. In the early days of sort of delivering social media, we thought it was an easy way as marketers just to reach an audience and sell them something. But a lot of them, forget that it's social, and there's this two-way conversation that's supposed to happen when you are on social. And I think that's one thing you encapsulated. I remember, you've always got a community of, I think you call them gladiators. You've got these people that you listen to, and you're asking, what are the questions that you have about your home that, I can help shine a bit of light on, or offer a bit of advice. And I think that's where you really shine through with the social. I think that's where social is at. And you see, the really good social. I'm not saying that you're anything like Kim Kardashian God bless her. Like, I think she's great at what she does, but she gives you a little bit of an insight into her, and you connect with her. And I think it was the same sort of thing. That I was interested in the construction industry and aligned with the things that you do. So
The human element,
I think
right?
you nailed it in some way, without whether you say you know it or not.
So, well, look, I think that's a part of just having a go and being a true person, being a real person, just being honest to yourself and not being scared. We all get scared, right? But not being scared of just being yourself and having a go. And if people are going to chop you down, well, you know, over the years, a lot of people said you shouldn't be doing this and you should do this. For example, I had my phone in my car on a mount recording myself,
Yeah,
and I'm driving along and I'm recording and I'm talking, like conversating, special with my English second language people. Actually, it's first. Um, but conversating with, like, recording a video, talking about something that I was passionate about at the moment. And that video went, heaps of people viewed it, but I got cut down by a bunch of people saying, you shouldn't be doing this when you're driving. You should be focusing on the road. That's unsafe. If you're going to do something, put more preparation into it, more time into it. And uh, um, and if something's important enough, you should put more preparation into it and take the time out of your day to do that properly. I stopped
yeah,
on social media for like 3 years and nearly, like, put
yeah.
almost
Wow.
nothing up, and my videos stopped, and I just basically put photos up of things, and it just completely squashed me. So
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's interesting other people's feelings of that. It make you feel so being yourself, and other people do impact on what you do. So, and people like yourself, Aaron, when you come to me and say, "Mate, I love what you do," I go, "All right, well, you know what? If one person can come out and say that, the haters are going to stay the
yeah,
haters. Let them be upset." So, what I want to get into
yeah,
now with you is a little bit of your background,
yeah,
is what made your mind tick in a way that you go, well, this is what I want to do. What was the what was the
yeah.
what was happening in your life when you turned from working for someone else into going, hey, I want to change whatever it is and move into the position that you're in? So what year was that?
Yeah. That was it was probably 2017, but 2018 is when it happened. I had a background where I had the privilege to work for a bunch of really cool brands. I worked with Kmart, I worked with GPT, worked with Mervac and into Gardeners, and loved all my experiences working across there. But one of the things that probably resonated with me was, how can you do the marketing function and marketing support better? I know there's stipulations with the way you do things in shopping centers. For example, we were dealing with a whole bunch of retailers, and there were mum and dads that owned businesses, and I became really passionate about growing their businesses. And one, probably the turning point in my whole mindset was. I was, living a pretty good life, and anyway, I applied for a job for Mervac, and little did I know it was in Bundaberg, and so 2011, before I knew it, I'm in Bundaberg as a marketing manager, and then the floods hit in 2013, and they were devastating. And I knew nothing about floods. I'm a city boy. I'm not a country boy. And anyway, I just saw the whole town getting devastated, and including our retailers in our shopping centre, and the mum and dad retailers that had put all their life savings and everything into these businesses. And I was like, we've got to help them out. And Mervac were fantastic. And anyway, the campaign was really successful. But in my head, I was always like, I started to have a really soft spot for those types of businesses, and how do we grow them? How do you grow them better? How do you grow them more efficiently? So, moving into GJs, it was the same sort of situation. I was working with franchisees that were families. There were mums and dads that put their life on the line to be a GJ Gardener franchisee. I felt from a marketing perspective, we delivered some really good support, but I always thought, how do you support them better? And 2018, I just said, hey, I want to go do this by myself and work with businesses like that, and offer what I feel the service is, and a more tailored approach to each of them as well, because you're not able to do that in that corporate role. So I made the plunge, and I had two clients when I first started, working 16, 17-hour days, and tried to make a go of it. And kind of here I am, 5 and a bit years later, 6 years in June next year, and we're still going in the space that we love, and working with great people like yourself that we love supporting. So yeah, that's when I sort of changed into doing what I'm doing at the moment with Primal.
So what I kind of heard in that was that you felt like you were shackled in a corporate role. Nothing against the corporate, because I guess we both understand that there's so many legal
Uh,
things that need to be done, and you can't do this and you can't do this, and getting approval for this and getting approval for that, which you and I battle through on a regular basis. But would you
yeah,
say that going and working for yourself has enabled you to just take the shackles off and unburden yourself and just be able to go that extra little bit where you feel it's required or where you want to?
absolutely. I think if I could have put that 5 minute segment into 10 seconds, you said it, you hit the nail on the head. It was, I felt a bit shackled. But as you said, it is, the role of the corporate. You've got to have some level of, I guess, what you deliver across the board needs to be the same, but not all businesses need the same thing. So this enables me to do that, take that shackles off, and deliver a bit more tailored solutions for businesses. So yeah, you're completely right, Kenny.
With that then, Primal. What's the background with Primal? The name.
Yeah. So the name was around. It is very much around the shackle, like kind of to do with the shackles actually, because Primal was around getting back to the foundations of a business, having a look at it, and then providing what you need. So getting back to those, like primal sort of days of what are the things that you need. You don't need to go too fancy all the time. Sometimes, for example, I think yourself, Kenny, we've talked about several different strategies that you can put in place, but you run your social so well that you don't really need anything else. So what it's about going back to what the core of the business is, the core of what you need, and delivering that rather than a something that you're not. So primal sort of means that to us, and it's also about evolving your business. I think I'm not that active on social, and I'm getting a bit more active, inspired a bit by yourself as well. But
Mate, you're doing
you'll
really
see
well
me
with it,
use
by
the
the way.
hashtag evolve. So it's about evolving businesses as well. I'm bringing them from. So I've got this space monkey, primates into the space age, like and how far you need to go on that journey. So it's about evolving businesses as well. So and the logo was a result of my daughter, who was probably 4 at the time, and I was like, "Dad needs a logo," and she said, you're an epic space monkey or something. So I googled that. We found an image that kind of looked like this, and then I had a designer design it up, and the monkey with the cigar stuck. So that's where the logo comes from. She said, that's what you kind of look like.
Well, I said when we first joined and got in the studio here, I said, "Hey, you got a mirror of yourself behind you, and as long as we're not playing AFL, we'll be okay, right? Because we could get in trouble for
Yeah.
that."
Oh, mate. I think there's a I'm not that PC, so I'm good with all of that sort of stuff.
One thing I've always looking at the logo, because I knew you before I knew the logo, and one thing I look at it
Yeah,
is it's you don't take yourself too seriously. You can't take yourself too seriously, but you can
yeah,
see that there's a level of seriousness, there's a level of integrity, and there's a level of, hey, let's just see what happens in the image, right? So with the cigar in the end, it's like,
I,
and we're gonna party once it comes off. All right, fellas, that's how it's gonna work.
that's I think yeah, I think Kenny, you've hit the nail on the head. Like that's what we want to be, and that was probably part of the shackles of corporate life, was not being able to take off the shackles and have a bit of fun with the retailers, when sometimes that's what they need. Um, there was actually one retailer. This is actually a pretty interesting story, Kenny. That he was a muffin break owner, and the business wasn't doing as well as he wanted it to go. And I was like, well, you've got a good brand behind you. Your muffins are pretty good. Your coffee's good. Um, I think the only thing is when you come in here, you look really like you don't want to be here. You know, let's turn that frown upside down and let's have a bit of fun. And we just had a bit of fun with them. The whole team, the workers that work for him, they all started to be happier when they were serving customers. The experience was better, and I think his business doubled. And this
Right.
was in the space of 2 months with no further marketing other than just having a bit of fun. So I think, Kenny, to your point, we've got to not take ourselves too seriously in what we do and have a bit of fun with what we're doing. I think that's part of the persona and the personality of a brand. And that was one thing that you do, and that was one thing that I saw through your social is that you're having fun as you're doing a pretty serious job.
Yeah, I guess I'm lucky and blessed, and I'll use the word privilege to be raised by two parents that nothing was ever taken super seriously. Things were serious, though it was
Yeah,
nothing was like step down the line. There was always a journey. There was always something. There was a smile. There's a laugh. There was always something there. And with my dad was always working in a role where he had a lot of pressure um, in what he was doing, and my mum as well in sales and marketing. My mum did that for years,
yeah,
and she always, in growing up, she always said to me about the relationship with the customer. She would spend a lot of time with the customer, and she lost jobs
yeah,
through her time because she spent a lot of time with the customer. However, what I kept hearing from her was that she was able to sell to the customers without selling. She just go and she
yeah,
made herself available to them, made the trust, and they trusted her, she trusted them, they worked together, and it just evolved, using your word, from that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
none of that was taken serious. It was fun and games. When things needed to be serious, it was serious. But the rest of it was just real. And I think a lot of the world, a lot
yeah,
of I don't know, Mark. I think a lot of things are changing, especially in our space. Um, I
yeah,
think the world is seeing that you feel that you have to be serious. Like, I need to put a suit on, and I need to be a certain way if I'm going to attract a certain type of customer. And what I've found though is
yeah,
that the wealthiest of customers, the people that have the money to spend on what you do, um, they'd rather not be blindsided. They still want to build trust with you. They don't just go, "Here's some money,
yeah,
do this." Or certainly not the customers that
yeah.
I go for. But that relationship. So, with have you found that when you are starting a relationship with someone or with a customer, um, that you end up working with them like your best customers? How do you find the transition from them being a connection to working with them and that journey? Like, how do you feel? Is there different? Is it easier with some people than others?
Um, it is, it is, and I think again to your point, one of the biggest things for me in marketing is trust. Like beyond all the digital metrics of keyword, numbers and things like that. In the end, when you have trust, you've got everything. So to your question around, is it different for different customers? It is, because I think people have a different level of trust, and particularly in our game, Kenny, and in the marketing game, is that there's been a lot of trust lost over the past few years with a lot of agencies coming out and a lot of promises through digital and different things of being able to transform your business. But truth be told, it's never a really short journey business. You're always growing, and a lot of it does come down to building that brand and building trust with your audience,
And
and
how
that
do you
takes a long
adapt?
time.
How do you adapt, Aaron, for different types of people to get that trust?
Yeah, it depends on the certain situation. Like we have some clients that all they care about when you first meet them is, I guess it's providing solutions that they need. So sometimes they just want leads, and They're relatively easy to get, to be honest. Google ads, Facebook ads, run a few, get some leads for them. But I think where you get the trust is doing your job, doing it well, but then adding the value on top and saying, well, have you ever thought about this? And have you thought about that? And, this is how we can see it work for you. And this is the desired outcome that we think would be delivered as a result of that. I think that's how you build trust with those sorts of people. Other people are very trusting. Other people you can build trust through social means, and they're, searching through your LinkedIn media, for example. I had a customer, well, not a customer yet, but someone approached me yesterday because I've been a bit more active on LinkedIn. They've said, you've been a bit quiet, but I'm really enjoying the journey of late. Would you ever want to chat to us about working with us? So it can be built in several different ways, and I think it depends on the individual. But I think in the end, it's about how you add value to them, value to their life. Similar to what your mum was doing, and having just those nice, warm relationships with them as well. I think there's always a personal level there as well. It's always business, but there's always a personal level, and I think it's something that you do quite well, and we've seen in the videos when we've been shooting them for you. I think Troy was a good example at Varsity Lakes there, where he said that you came along and you said, yeah, we can stop that water leak, but we can do this too. And this is how this will enhance your life by doing this. If we do this little bit here, and you could see he just fully trusted the process, and he trusted in you to deliver that solution. So yeah, I think that added value, that personal touch, listening is a big thing, and that's another thing that I think people get wrong in their socials, and you've done very right. Is you listen through, and provided the answers back. So yeah, it's kind of wide and varied, but it's the number one goal for us is build trust and build that relationship.
Well, that certainly has that. What you've just said there is a perfect carbon copy of our relationship. So I can attest to
Yeah,
exactly what you just said, which is I
thanks.
suggest this, I suggest this, I suggest this. And I know you and I have sat in a corporate meeting with Colorbond, where Colorbond wants to help us grow our business, and we work together on
Yeah,
projects where you've been heavily involved with. And
yeah,
it's you've got the commercial or the corporate entity which has massive trust. If you look at trust companies, the most trusted company in Australia is Colorbond, right? So you've got this company and they
yeah,
have what they want to be doing, and then you're wanting to facilitate me and my growth and make sure that you do the right thing for Colorbond and them helping us. So there's a triangle of trust where we all have our own individual
yeah,
relationships. You already do with Colorbond, which was the introduction that came when we got together.
yeah,
And so I guess my point is that in the end, even regardless of that, you've come back to me and said, "Well, I want to help you achieve. Let's tick the boxes for Colorbond, but I want to help you achieve what you're trying to achieve in all of this first and foremost." And that has put a
yeah,
massive amount of trust in me in you. And I've had a number of marketing companies work with us before in building a website, and which you've done for us, and doing some videos, and it was very um, tick a box and it's done, and I don't hear another thing. Where what I was always after was a relationship with someone that um, doesn't necessarily mean a drop of a hat, but it means that you can have a phone call with them and talk, "Hey, this is what I'm working on,"
yeah,
and sort of added like you, for example, you've become a part of our company in the way that I can talk to you as if you're an employee or you're an engaged team member of our
yeah,
company, so that when we're trying to
yeah,
achieve something, even if you don't have anything to do with it, and we do it all in house, you're still giving feedback where we're collaborating on ideas and that there as you asked me when we filmed Troy's house. After we left Troy's house, we're sitting at Robina Town Centre, and you said, "Kenny, what do you want out of a marketing company? What do you expect? Are we doing a good job?" And remember, I
mm,
was like, "I've always been disappointed in marketing companies." From
yeah,
then to
yep,
now, and this is over a short period of time, and I've had conversations with our good friend from Colorbond. And
Yeah.
he said, "You're going to get out of whatever you put into it." Is That's exactly what he said to me. He
Yeah.
goes, "Aaron's going to do for you what you ask Aaron to do. If you expect Aaron to do
Yeah.
anything that you don't work out with him, then how's it he know he's going to do that?" And so from that moment, we've
Yeah.
just collaborated over and talked and talked and talked and talked, and
Yeah.
we've carried this journey onto a better place. And I've seen you grow in that as well
Yeah.
as me. Um, I'm
Yeah.
loving what you're doing on LinkedIn. It, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
showing you
Thanks.
at the gym. I saw, was that yesterday? You're at the gym, 4 o'clock, getting
That
it
was at the
done.
gym. Yeah. Yeah. This. Yeah. Getting it done. I think there's a I'm really, I used to be really into the health, and then, the business gets in the way, but it just puts you in a better mental state.
Yeah.
So I think I put a LinkedIn post yesterday around it putting me in a better mental state, and you have a little win for the morning. So I always try and do something that, I just achieve one little goal. It might be 100 meters more on the rower.
Yeah.
It could be 10 meters more on the rower, just a little win for the day. And it's like, let's get some more wins with the businesses we work with. So I think it's a bit of a mindset thing for me, Kenny. But, also inspired by the journeys that I see around me. I see that you are doing the Noosa Try, and you're doing things like that. There's other people that we work with that are doing some amazing things in the personal health realm other than the business realm. And I think it all kind of works together. I think when you're a driven individual and you can, do those sorts of things outside of work as well, it feeds into work life, and it's a ever sort of growing circle of self improvement and business improvement. And that's the journey I'm on. I'm never saying that we're perfect in what we do. And it'd be hard to find anyone that is. And I think, even that conversation that you talked about we had down at the Gold Coast, I think that was a really good conversation where you talked about building trust. I think our trust we were trusted each other, but we went to another level when we can just open up and go, okay, guys, how are we going to do this, and how can we work better together? And so we've been mindful that be more proactive and stuff like that, Kenny. So I think you can always improve and get better, and that goes into the health life as well. I'm not walking so well after the leg press yesterday,
But that's
but
a
it was
good thing,
good.
right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So with health and wealth and mentalities and all of that in business and employing people and just the journey of running a business is tough in itself. And you guys
Mm,
evolving, something that you were just talking about then is you can't always be perfect. And
mm.
we strive for it though, right? We strive for perfection. No,
We do.
it's unattainable. Um,
Yeah.
in that, something I always want to ask in our Constructing Art podcast is to get a horror story and a hero story. And I think you would have been around a lot of horror stories in relation to your marketing and wanting to help people. Um,
Mm,
and if we can just touch base on something, do you have a story that pops to mind? When I say a horror story, it's something where you wanted so badly to help them and you just couldn't. Not a disaster for
yeah.
someone, but and this could come back to the Bundaberg
Yeah.
floods. Do you have
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. 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 I do. This it is a pretty horrible story. Actually, I was working. I was actually a marketing coordinator at Kmart, and I was working in the tire and auto service division, and I was looking after catalogs. And one catalog that we released, which had very good sales, I got the price wrong. So there were thousands, if not millions, of dollars lost
Ooh,
because of this catalog that went to market, and it they obviously bought the item for the particular price, and it was below what it was supposed to be sold for. And I walked in Monday, and when I heard about it, my heart dropped, and I thought, my God, this is my career over. I was pretty young; I was in my early 20s, and I got pulled into an office with Bob Sutton, who was the general manager of sales there, and I think I learnt the biggest lesson in my life that day in my professional career. And he said, "I've always got your back."
wow.
And he said, "What happened?" And I told him what happened. We had a sign-off process and all that sort of thing going. I was the final one, missed it. He just said, look, let's just explain it. But as, a manager and as the general manager here, I'll always have your back, and, let's just not do it again, and talk me through things. He was probably more concerned about how upset I was at the time rather than the actual horror story of losing millions of dollars for, one of Australia's biggest entities. But, I learned that, what sort of true leadership was that day. So it was a horror story that turned into a bit of a hero story, I think, because he became a bit of a hero in my life, I think. And to this day, I always look up to that guy for a hero story.
On that for a
I think
second,
it was a
Aaron,
collaborative effort.
where
Oh, sorry.
where
Yeah.
you've got someone that has your back, it's kind of like a relationship with unconditional love, right? Someone where you can stuff up,
Yeah.
and you know that, hey, it doesn't matter how bad you stuff up, you are still
Mm,
a worthy, worthwhile person that's worth my time.
yeah. Oh, absolutely,
How'd that make you
Kenny.
feel? Like, how did that
And I
change
think,
your mindset and
oh,
in moving forward?
I honestly think it was the biggest change in my life, in my professional career, of the person that I was going to be. Um, I was never, my nature, Kenny, and it, I've got a genuine nature. I'm not backstabbing or anything like that, but I thought if someone stuffs up, that's the end of them. It should just be the end of them,
Mm,
sort of thing. I thought that was the corporate world, and that was the rule, and that's how you lived. This guy, he would have been in his 50s now. Well, sorry, 50s back then, 60s, early 60s or something. Old school, didn't like people wearing. I always thought he was a bit odd because he didn't necessarily love people wearing. What do you call it? Casual clothes on Fridays and things like that. Very disciplined. And I was like, oh, I'm early 20s. I want to go get my paycheck and party on Friday and Saturday. You'd find me in at King's Cross, if anything. Um, but if someone stuffed up, I was going to fire them, which
yeah.
I wasn't because I was a marketing coordinator. But anyway, when I stuffed up and this happened to me, I was just like, this is what it means to be, I think, a good person, let alone a great leader.
Mm,
And it changed me drastically, Kenny. I'll, forever. I've always, give everyone, give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them a chance to, come back from whatever it is, a mistake. But there's no mistakes. It's always learning. And
mm,
there's that cliche sort of saying,
yeah.
but it truly is. And I think that truly brought it out to me that, there are people out there, particularly in a role that he was, where, his head was probably on the chopping block,
Yeah.
but he was ready to protect me so I could have my little career.
And so from that, I mean,
So,
obviously that
yeah.
there has become part of who you are, and how you then treat your clients,
Mm,
treat your workers, and treat your relationships in general.
yeah.
So turning that now into your hero
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Okay, hero story. I think it was a collaborative effort, and I think it was more around my satisfaction of seeing businesses grow. And I think it was my last. There's a few stories. Not to sound like I've got an ego
Well,
or
you
anything,
should,
but there's
because you're a marketing
a
guy.
couple of them.
You should have a bunch of hero
I
stories.
know, but well, I'm nervous doing this, man. Like I told you, like I don't even, this whole thing is new to me, and I don't think
You're nailing it.
I'm worthy to talk on any podcast, but
You
I'll keep
100%
going.
are.
But there's a couple. Oh, thanks, mate. Probably the biggest one was the Hinkler Central revival in Bundaberg from the floods 2013. We work really hard, and I think the best thing about it was not necessarily that we got the shopping centre reopened, but it was almost like that thing was so iconic in the community, even though it's a little shopping center, but so many people work there because retail is such a big driver of employment and relationships. Everyone in that shopping center were friends. Like you'd walk down the street on a Sunday and, people would call you in to have coffee or say good day. It's a, small country town sort of thing. But, bringing that back to life with the team there. There was a fantastic team that worked at Mervac, and then all the community and the retailers. At the day it opened, I think I cried. I think everyone cried. I think the story of it coming back and the community supporting it was one of the biggest days in probably Mervac's history. And then we're able to get the Queensland Maroons there too, so that was a big thing that opened it up. So the whole team came. They were winning at the time, still winning. Um, and yeah, it was a great, a great sort of time in my life because of those relationships. And as I said, what I was really big on was growing small businesses, but also just getting them to come back to life. So that was fantastic. And then the GJ Gardner story was pretty cool. And I think the first story with Mervac reinforced my love of relationships and how important they are, and how they can impact a business. Because we saw an unprecedented amount of people come back to this shopping center when it opened and just support it. And the GJ story was more about trust. So one of the biggest things when I started with them was we were looking at, what's the biggest decision making process in home building. And I think in your industry too, Kenny, and they choose them because of who they trust.
Mm.
And you can see you're such a trusted brand with My Clutter. So our whole goal for it was 2 years was just to become the most trusted brand in home building. And actually we achieved it through getting the best reviews across Australia. Went to market with a campaign which was hashtag most trusted. And the business grew 700 million in a year just through, we did nothing different. We spent no more money on digital marketing. It was just conveying and being able to provide evidence to the market that we were the most trusted builder in Australia.
Looking to take your construction business to the next level? At Primal Agency, you're partnering with experts that know your business. And that's half the battle. As Australia's most trusted construction marketing team, these guys are all about evolving your business. If you're looking to scale, talk to the crew at Primal today, or check out primalagency.com.au.
That was cool, not from the perspective of the 700 million or whatever. It was more from the perspective of seeing all the franchisees, mum and dads, flourish. And so to this day, even though I've left, and I was so passionate about it, I'm still good mates with them all, and we kind of talk on Facebook and things like that. So out of that became good relationships. So for me, I think it was a win-win personally and a win-win for business, and it helped me sort of get a bit of a name in the industry, which was nice. But as I said, I don't think it's that big. I shouldn't probably be here on this podcast, but I'll
You're a very
keep
humble
moving.
person, Aaron. I think that you I always say you don't need to apologize for anything that you do. I think that you come from things, and in listening to what you're saying and your stories, it's and I'm so jealous that you get to do what you do because I love the marketing sides of things, right? But what I just
You're good at it.
heard, oh, well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. You always make me feel good. So this time it's 7:15 on a Sunday morning. And I've got
Good.
a huge smile on my face talking with you. So I'm honored to have you on here. So don't ever feel that
Thanks, mate.
you are not worthy of the position that you get to be on our little humble podcast, right? What I heard in what you
Yeah.
were saying, Aaron,
No, cool.
was that the role of a marketing person, and I'm going to use marketing because this is you and this is what you do. We're
Yeah.
talking in relations because marketing is essentially business.
Yeah.
And so there's a connection, there's a customer and there's a business, and the business is trying to sell the customer is trying to get something from the business.
Yeah.
A marketing company is a heartbeat for a business.
Yeah.
That heartbeat doesn't need to beat like you're running a marathon. It doesn't need to beat like you're doing a massive leg press. It doesn't need to beat like that. It just needs to beat. And as long as the beat is
Yeah.
there, they're part of the business. And so what you are is a heartbeat to other people. And that's what I got
Yeah.
from what you were just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that analogy of it, Kenny. I think that's exactly what it is. And when you talk about marketing being the heart, I think maybe I prioritize marketing over a few things, but in business, but it really is. I mean, it's you're communicating to your audience. What is the heart of your business? Who are you? What do you are? How do you you can't form a deep relationship or a warm relationship with a logo. You form it with the person. So, a good example is, and just, because we're on the podcast together, is yourself, Kenny. Love the My Cladders brand and everything, but the connection I have is with the person behind it, which is you, and the constructing art stuff. And you embody what My Cladders is. So I think anybody that works and constructing art, so anybody that works within constructing art and works within My Cladders, honestly has my trust instantly, because it rubs off from your personality and the relationship we have. And I think if every brand can do that, they're going to be really successful. But it's hard to do. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into it, and you've got to be very genuine and be very passionate about what you do. So,
Genuine, yeah.
yeah, it's it's an interesting thing. Marketing's interesting. As it's evolved into digital, and I feel sometimes digital is talked about in quite a faceless kind of way. It's around keywords and it's around SEO and that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it's good, but we've seen on many occasions that we can drive lots and lots of traffic toward a website, or toward a particular brand. However, if that brand doesn't resonate with the customer through the heart of it, then it doesn't work. And we've seen that time and time again. And then we've seen brands where we don't have to work as hard driving traffic to the site, because they've already got these relationships in place, or how they're communicating with the audience just really resonates, so they convert better. I think with you, I think that, as I said, with in the past, we've talked about different things that we could potentially do, and I know one thing we raised was lead generation campaigns, but a lot of the things you get through are through your word of mouth and your relationships. So you don't need it, because you really communicate the heart of your business and create those relationships really well. And if you can do that, I say to people, if you can do that, you end up not needing us, in terms of the digital space. But if you want us to help tell your story, we can always help as well. But I think that's where it's at with marketing. It's yeah, an interesting space.
Well, I agree with you 100% because you're talking about me, right? And I love people
Mm.
talking about me. But
Yeah, yeah,
100%, two of my most cherished projects, I should say, favorite cherished,
yeah,
have come from YouTube. So us
yeah,
putting up stories and projects and talking about things and solely YouTube, where we've gone then and been able to work on someone's project because they've said, "Hey, we've seen you on YouTube. We love what you do. We trust you. Can you
yeah.
help us?" And it's more of a, "Can you
That's it.
help us?" Um, where when I get there, I'm just Kenny and I'm just there. I'm looking at the house. What can I do?
Yeah,
And they're going, I hope he can help. And they've told me this. I hope he's going to do our job for us. And I've asked them why.
yeah,
Why is that? They said because we know you'll do a good job. Like what? How do you know that? He goes, because we've seen what you do on YouTube. I'm like, okay, right.
yeah,
And I'm at the forefront in our business. So like you're at the forefront of your business. Yes, you've got a
yeah,
team behind you.
yeah,
And it's very
yeah,
hard to. I had my rep from Stratco say to me, Mike Ladders is a great company. Take Kenny out of it, and it's still a good company, though it's not what it is.
yeah,
So Kenny, you are
yeah,
the person running that. So I think I'm talking about myself a bit much here, um,
yeah.
and
No,
lost
but
track of
it's
what.
it's 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 relevant. It's relevant to every. I think it's relevant to everything we talk about, Kenny. And you see it with other brands like that. Richard Branson sort of embodies Virgin, and
Mm,
Elon Musk embodies Tesla. While they're not at the forefront because they're so busy, and whatever they do lots and lots of different things. But well, actually, they are at the forefront from the media side and the social media side. They're maybe not operationally a bit like we are sometimes day to day, and probably me more than you. But it's still very relevant, mate. I think, and I think the key is how do you get your team also to become advocates and try and take that over. But it's harder in small business than it is in bigger businesses and larger businesses. But if you can get that, then I think you've got a pretty good formula. I always think we've talked to a few brands about, they're going, oh, how do we get influencers, and how do we work with influencers? And I've got nothing against influencers, but there's a paid relationship going on. And I think our first point of call sometimes is, so how do you get your internal team to be the advocates for your brand and tell the brand story as well? And when you got that, you'll also win a bit more as well. So we've got a big corporate client we do some LinkedIn stuff with, and their team have started to get it, started to share stuff, started to put out little opinion pieces and things like that, and it's holistically built the brand without having to go and work with an influencer. So I think that's really powerful, and I think it's back to that being genuine, which you demonstrate really well with your stuff, and there's some other brands that demonstrate really well with theirs too.
Actually, someone who I've seen doing a good job recently is Access Hire. I don't know if you see them on your feed at all. But
Yeah,
as a
I have.
company, they
Yeah,
it's not just one person putting stuff up. They've got the internal sales girls.
yeah,
They've got I don't
yeah,
know, I haven't seen anything from, say, delivery drivers, but it's
yeah,
multifaceted with the people that are engaged with that from multiple different, because they're a big company, multiple different, um,
yeah,
levels. They're all getting into it, and they're all
yeah,
engaging from there was a post up with the Trade Mart. They had a Trade Mart shirt on,
yeah.
the
I saw
Fun
that.
Day Fridays.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And you see that stuff, Kenny, and yeah, it's like you're seeing the stories from everyone, and I think it comes back to relationships. They've obviously got good internal relationships. These people have relationships outside of that on LinkedIn, and the tentacles just spread further and further, and they're showing what a cool company it is to work with Access. And you'd trust that, and you'd make an inquiry, or you'd, like you said, you'd say, hey, how can you help me? Everyone looks to be having fun there, and you look to be supporting your customers really well. How do we become part of that story as well? And I think storytelling's so, like, inherently in us as humans. Like, well, that's the thing. It's telling the story day to day, and using your internal employees is cool. They've done a great job.
well, Aaron, I think, in this podcast you've given, like, my next question is actually, have you got advice for our listeners? And I think there's been so many pieces in
Yeah,
there that could be paraphrased and brought in from all the things we've talked about, but with the trust and that, and telling the story. Um, so I
yeah,
think that if you were to advise, just give us one short little bit. It could take you 10 minutes, I don't care. But if you've got something that you could
yeah,
give to customers so that they can understand the human side of marketing, and if they're going to do one
yeah.
thing for themselves, what is that you believe they should do to get the trust and get the you can give me more than one thing, get the trust and build that
Yeah,
relationship. What can they do?
yeah. Okay. Well, this probably comes from, and again, another influential person that I've met in my life was, um, I've forgotten his name, Kenny, but I might just quickly just do a little bit of a Google
Google
search
it.
and
Yeah, go
find
for it.
him.
There's this
He's
thing where you
brilliant.
can mark the clip, or I
And
can
it
get.
kind of, I think it embodies, here we go. Okay. So when I was at GJ's, we had a conference in Hawaii, and we had the opportunity to have a presentation done by a gentleman named Nigel Dalton.
Okay.
So he was the chief information officer at realestate.com.au, REA.
Mm-hmm.
So he helped, build that platform and iterate it and all this innovation and evolve it and all this sort of thing. And I got to speak with him for 5 minutes alone because I was setting up the stage. So I was running around setting up the conference, nothing too important. And I said to him, marketer to genius, what would be the, biggest thing in marketing that you think that any brand needs to do? And he said to me, you've got to affect three different things. And I've taken it through everything since then, and it kind of built our most trusted stuff as well was you've got to impact time, you've got to impact transparency, and then that will impact trust. So, from a time perspective, whatever that may be, it may be, impacting time in a positive manner by providing content at the right time. And a lot of that's value adding content, showing them, what's the best way, how to choose the best color bond color for your house, things like that, that you actually do this inherently. You might not do it they're not in stages, they're kind of collectively the thing that you do. But you do that um, probably inherently, Kenny. So time was a big thing. So how do you impact time positively for the customer, whether it be helping them get the information they need quicker, um, being on time, calling them on time when an inquiry comes through, all that sort of stuff. Transparency was the next big thing. So be transparent about who you are and what you offer. Communicate well, and just always give the customer everything that they want to know or need to know about what's it going to be like working with you, and set those expectations. Um, but also transparency, probably in the way that we're talking about it, in terms of who you are as a person, let alone the brand. And then the third thing was trust, he said. So the biggest thing was trust. So all of those things, if you can impact time and then you're transparent with the customer, then you've got trust. And when you've got trust, you've got everything. And he said that was the end goal.
Wow.
So every business, I think, is a bit different
Yeah.
in the way they've got to do these particular things. But we generally use those pillars when we work with a brand and go, this is how we're going to impact these three pillars, which will lead to the trust element, which is the most important thing in the end. And that's why generally when we work with customers, and we don't mind them, don't get me wrong, but pure lead generation stuff, to me as a marketer, while I'm knee deep in it all the time and things like that, is such a short-term vision of what a brand should be doing. I know it's essential at times and things like that, but there's this bigger play that should be coupled with it as well, that you're building toward becoming a most trusted brand in your industry. And I think through things like this that you're putting out with podcasts and all of that, like, you're doing exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the most important thing you can do as a business.
Time and transparency equals trust. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it. That works. It's essentially you got. There's so many different things on time. It's getting things done on time, but
Yeah,
and respecting people's
exactly.
time. Um, and then the
That's it.
transparency is just you're being
Yeah,
the most authentic you and letting people know, hey, it's not me. You've said to me before,
that's it.
it's not me, Kenny, that's doing this. This is I've got this guy doing this for me. This, but I'll deliver it for you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because remember we had that time
That's it.
and I'm like, I thought you were doing that, Aaron. He goes, oh, sorry, mate. I was getting him.
Yeah,
I've been busy and I didn't realize that
yeah,
you wanted to know that. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Absolutely.
There's no hiding from that. So I think that's a
No,
number one
no,
tip.
and that's it.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Just be really, be transparent in everything that you do, and the time. Just it's just communication, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
telling. But that was the three things. So every time we look at a business, we go, okay, how do we impact time for the customer? How can we be more transparent with them and trust? And that can flow through all the things that you do, including Google Ads. It could be the information you have in Google Ads, or the landing page you send them to, or whatever it may be.
Mm,
But just those three pillars, if you can nail those and know what they are for your business, you'll do well.
wonderful. And if you want to be in that position, you can get hold of Aaron at not this is not a sales podcast.
No,
So
no, no.
on that, we've got
But
two more things that I want to get over. One is
yeah,
the fact that you're a proud dad. You've got a lovely small
yeah.
family. You're living up on the Sunshine Coast, living your best life, and enjoying that in your home. And so, something I always like to ask is what is your favorite part of your home?
Yeah. My favorite part of my home is my outdoor area. It's the kitchen and the outdoor area.
Okay.
Um, I do want to renovate it one day. I'm a big low and slow smoking barbecue guy,
Yeah.
so I've got 6 barbecues out there. Um,
You're a big
yeah, ranging from yeah, I cooked last night. I probably cooked too much meat. That's why I'm at the gym working it off. I've got a few kilos of meat to work off, but I love the outdoor. What it does is we've got the pool there. We've got a little bit of an outdoor deck there, and we love having people over. Having barbecues there. The family, we chill out on Sundays. Yesterday we actually did it. Yesterday Arvo, and we were kind of like, this is living our best life. It's where we just sit down and connect as a family. Um, and connect with friends as well. So that's my favorite part of the house. So I love cooking. I think when you're sharing food, it's a relationship thing. I think it's really ingrained in me, all this stuff. Like when you're cooking for someone and you cook a great meal, I'm really proud. And when they love it, and it just, it forms a stronger relationship when you have someone over for a meal and you're cooking for them. I think that's pretty primal, getting back to the days of cooking around a fire,
meat around the fire.
that sort of stuff.
You
So
eat
yeah,
meat.
that's my favorite place in the house.
That's awesome, mate. Oh, well, and that's the heart. So you as a marketing company, the heart of a lot of other companies and beating for them.
Yeah,
So when you're at home, the heart of your home is that location. You know that whenever you guys are out there in that
yeah,
space, you're home, right? You could be
that's
in your
it.
office,
Yeah,
but
that's what
when
it
you
feels like. It feels like home.
yeah, that mate, that's awesome. Now the next thing, and I haven't had outdoor area on the podcast yet, so you're the
Yeah,
first with that. No, that was the last one. I'll start this next one. Here we go.
cool.
So here's the dad joke of the day. Being that we're both dads,
Yeah,
and I could move in the
yeah,
direction
boy.
of doing a podcast with dads because everyone seems to be a dad. And I think that's one of the greatest things that
Yeah,
you can be, right? Is the dad stuff. All this other marketing
yeah,
stuff and the business growth and blah. Being a good dad and
yeah,
helping raise our children to be a good dad for themselves or be just a great human, or in yours it would be a mother,
yeah,
but just a great adult,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and leading by example. I
That's
think
it.
that's an awesome part of life, and so I do not take
Yeah,
that serious. Or with my kids, I'm the biggest dork, and I
so
take a lot of pride in that I embarrass them constantly. Even at home, they tell me to stop all the time. But when things are serious, they know that I'm there. I've got their back. Like your boss that changed your
yeah,
life. I think you
that's
take
right.
that into your as being a dad.
Yeah,
So here's
yeah, yeah.
here's one that's perfect for you.
Right.
All right, this one
Yeah.
is, why did the scarecrow get a promotion?
How come?
Because he was
I love their jokes.
outstanding in his field.
Yes, yes. I've got one for you too, Kenny.
Oh
I
yes.
love it. Yeah, I'm going to use that. Lily's going to love that. I've got one for you. And before I start, I know maybe some people don't want to hire me after this, but I was thinking about a podcast when you said, dads and, that sort of thing. And I was thinking, what could we call, if you did it, what could you call it? And I was thinking, dads in construction, DIC, dick.
Dick.
It's probably not right. Sorry
Yeah.
about this on the podcast. But
Uh,
anyway, early Sunday morning.
I was actually, when you said that,
Um,
well smoked dads would be another one with your barbecues.
yes. We could do it. We should just do it on a podcast. Do some smoke and sit around the smoker and do it one day, Kenny. But okay, here goes mine. I hope it's as good as yours. Okay, how come dads? You might know this one because it's pretty. Well, how come dads bring an extra pair of socks to golf?
Why?
Because they might get a hole in one.
That's
It's
why
so
I never.
bad.
That's a terrible joke, by the way. But yeah,
Sorry, mate.
I've never had to.
I tell that.
I've never had to take when I used to play
No,
golf,
no,
but I
no.
never had to. So I
No,
never
I'm
got
so
one.
far off a hole in one. If I got a hole in one in my sock, that'd be good.
Oh mate,
So,
yeah, I'd be keen in that. Yeah, I have heard the one. Why do you take a extra pair of undies? The socks. I guess it's the same thing.
why?
Mate,
Oh,
been
because you in case you get a hole in one.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, yeah. My father-in-law, he's a brickie. He's his favorite dad joke. I forget how it goes because I was going to stuff it up, so I didn't want to do it. But it's like, how come your bum crack goes like this instead of this? So it goes vertically down instead of horizontal. He said, so when you go down a slippery dip, it doesn't go. Someone seems to love that joke.
Oh,
Like my daughter loves it.
that's
Oh no, man.
oh my god! I might have to cut that up, put that at the start, just like so it doesn't go.
Yeah.
Well, that's your transparency, right? That's the authentic being a real person. I love that. I absolutely love that. Aaron,
Yeah.
you've been
You
an
got to have
absolute
fun.
champion. I love the journey
Thank
that
you,
we're
mate.
on. I love what we're about to
Been a
get
pleasure.
into with Apex and at McDonald's and the work that we're going
Yeah.
to do there. I'm very, very excited, and mate,
This shoot's going to be epic.
I'm, I'm I'm so grateful to be in this life journey with you, mate. It's been good so far. Let's keep it going.
Oh, mate, that's awesome. And that's what it's all about, beyond the business and everything. I love business and all of that, but doing it with people that you love doing it with is the coolest thing. And as you said, hence the smoke and monkey. We're going to have a bit of fun while we go and do these cool things, and we're going to try weird and wonderful things. But that's it, Kenny. Mate, I'm the same. I'm so grateful that I've been able to work with you and met you in this life, and I think we're going to be doing some cool stuff. Yeah, going forward. So
So let's watch this space.
love
Eh?
it.